So we were talking about coronation party, and then we will probably move on to
Say hello first.
hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Lovelies and darlings.
I haven't met you before this video. What's happening?
I think your microphone is more capable than you imagined it to be.
Okay.
My name is Dust. I come with a 2-year guarantee not to rust. And me and Khaled here, we're going to talk about some subjects related to reality and the way we interact with reality. And what we do, a positive, a negative, or somewhere in between, which is kind of like what reality is all about, really.
Okay, yep. So we agreed to discuss two sort of related topics. One is the coronation parties, the street parties that we've had here in England, the rare opportunity to actually get together. And then related to that is, are any royal family, never mind the British royal family, of any use? So I'll start off because we had a coronation. I was part of two coronation parties. One in my
Not one.
not one but two, right? And kind of not particular surprise because from my religious background, we organise these things, and we organise all sorts of communal events all the time, and we take any opportunity, like the coronation party or jubilee parties, and any excuse to get people together, because we don't particularly care about the royal family as such, but we know that people need an excuse to do it. And in short, I would say I absolutely love both of them, and everybody loved both of them, because it was the rare opportunity when people got to spend time with each other. That's what it was, just talking with each other for an hour in a really relaxed format over food. I think people absolutely love it. I'll go into more detail afterwards, but I'm interested in what Dust has got to say about it. Go on.
I think that having community parties is very important. I think the way that people live their lives, interact, should involve parties. We're not talking about extreme events here. We're just talking about just this great, wonderful interaction that human beings have with each other over food, over light conversation, or indeed with particular people a heavy conversation, like me, fall into that category. But done in a space where it's outdoors, in a street, and this is what is the foundation and glue of a beautiful community. Because no matter your personal views on the way community should be done, in England, when you have a street party, by very definition, it overrules your vision of what a community is, because you have collective ideas and religions and philosophies all coming together. Because in the UK we have not one dominating reality, we have a mix, and we call that a mixed culture. And at the end of and this means that when we do have a street party from that foundation, it genuinely is. I don't know how long I've been speaking for. You need to keep an eye on.
It's all right. It's okay. You say your stuff.
Because I'm thinking about time.
Yeah.
From that particular foundation, you automatically, I would say, from your point of view, not done by design, but from my point of view, it would be done by design. Great. Get this mixing pot of human beings coming together, men, women, gay community, socialists, communists, atheists, agnostics, and all this automatically happens in a culture like here in the UK, where other countries, if you to have a street party, by definition, you're getting a very narrow view and flavour of reality. I don't know how long.
Oh yeah, I wasn't really looking at that. That's good. I tried to look at that. There's a little clock down there, so we don't talk too much. Yeah, I noticed that without our local Muslim community, and that's what most people said basically in the at least the street party in my local neighbourhood, first of all, it wouldn't have happened. So it's very important to realise that the collapse of community nowadays, and there are, the biggest problem, or the biggest killer in London is loneliness. That shows that there is no community. If there was no community, there wouldn't be a problem with loneliness. And so there is increasingly a predominant culture that's growing statistically, and that's the Islamic culture. That's the rare thing that's bringing people together. What's killed society and community is atheism. Because atheism basically says nothing matters and therefore nobody matters, and it's not just a theoretical idea, it's just the result of that is that nobody's talking to each other. And before atheism started growing a few decades ago, we had Christianity, which was bringing people together. So I even support people being better Christians, but even that, Christianity is dying very quickly because it doesn't make sense. So people can't stick to something that doesn't make sense, so they're going to Islam, which is a lot more simple. It's like, there's one God, created all of us, that makes sense. We know things are created if they're in, but you can't say there's three gods are one, and they're all one and the same, and it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, so that's what's happening. We need community, and only religion is keeping community alive nowadays.
Wow, we went from street parties to... So you said atheism killed... Well, sorry, you killed what?
Kills community, kills relationships, makes people lonely.
How? Where is it in the book of atheism? Does it say that happen? Does that to do that?
Yeah, so it's a necessary part of the ideology.
Where does it say that? Where does it say in the book of atheism? To kill.
The book of atheism. That's the funny thing. There's no book of atheism. That's part of the problem, right? But also, this is common part. Yeah, sure.
It's just, what is this book of atheism you're referring to? Is there one?
Okay, if you say the whole world is random,
is there a book of atheism?
No.
All right,
go for it.
You can.
Then I'll explain.
You explain in your section.
Okay. Sure.
So there is no book of atheism. There is no this idea that somehow there's this collective conspiracy of people that's not religious is attacking your community or any community is absolutely delusional. It's a shame we're not still talking about community parties, but it looks like we're changing the subject. But
that's all right. We can get back to
that. But I did like because it was quite a light conversation. Not light, so sorry. It's just it's not so divisive. But this is important to talk about, and so there you go. It's valid. So that's why we're moving on to this subject. There is no book of atheism. There is no religion of atheism. There is no. I'm not an atheist, by the way, just to clarify that. But I do know about the subject far more than the average person. You would understand it, but you're equating that there is some sort of conspiracy or collective group. But an atheist is just people anywhere on the planet, anywhere in human. Remember that before religions were invented, there was no religion. Human beings were walking around, having families, hunting, looking at the stars, living out of a cave, making fire. All that happened without a religion, and they got through all that. I mean, look at when the religions were invented. Look at when the Muslim religion was invented. Look at when Christianity was invented 2,000 years ago, allegedly. Look at when the religion was invented. It assumes that there was no history before that point, and yet for those human beings to create stories that they did create, and all these religions that they hold to and love and embrace, that all took a moment of no religion whatsoever, and that was done in a period where people were just farming, doing doing what they do in primitive tribes. They did that for millions of years, survived, got on with life, and you're accusing those people of being atheists. And yet they're the very, they never believed in gods. They might have believed in the sun that was in the sky, and that's quite a beautiful thing. The sun is up there, and if you don't look at it, it doesn't grow plants or whatever mythology they create around the sun. Tell me, you've got to keep an eye on my time, remember? So don't let me ramble. Give me a countdown.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to talk forever. You know that.
Okay.
I'm not. So yeah, I mean, you're
Just
accusing.
make the round your point.
So
You know.
in your world, when I say your, I mean religious.
Islamic world, maybe.
No, religious.
Okay. Yeah.
In the religious person's world, history never doesn't exist until about 2,500, 3,000 years ago, and yet there's millions of years of time where religion didn't exist, and as in organised Abrahamic religions. I mean by that, obviously, because looking at the sun and thinking whatever could be equated to it as a religion, but I do mean it as the organised religions today. And so this idea of atheists somehow contributing to loneliness is the reason why you can have a street party here. The reason why you I would say here alive today, right now, is because of atheists, because they create the National Health Service, which everybody's families are dependent on. And I'm not going to assume, it's an assumption, pretending I don't know anything, that at one point we have all family members that have become ill, and because we lived in a society where atheism allows religions to grow and communicate with each other and exist, but they make the big decisions like creating free health service, which you don't get. Thank you.
Thank you. So a couple of points there. What is the Book of Atheism? So they don't have an exact book, but obviously there are some ideas. If you want to go for books of atheism, go to books by Richard Dawkins, The Blind Watchmaker, The God Delusion, things like that. Okay, but it's a central tenet, let's say. The core idea of atheism is everything is random. Or if you want to be more core, there is no God. But how comes we've got creation and there's no God? It's because everything is random. Everything, therefore, is pointless. And that's what we call a nihilistic belief, that there is no point to anything. Nihilism is the idea that there's no point. And when there's no point, you naturally come to the conclusion that nobody matters, nothing matters, and then community dies. And that's actually the reality. So any sort of your belief systems actually play out in reality, and that's why people don't even talk to the neighbors, things like that. Whereas any event, if there's Christmas, Eid, Hanukkah, whatever it is, I will go and give presents to people of that particular faith group or non-faith group and stuff like that. In fact, my Jewish neighbor would be the only person to give me a present on Eid. So it shows the strength of religious belief, of religious conviction, right? And you said a whole bunch of things were factually incorrect. So, for example, you said the idea of religion being founded, like, only started from Islam or Judaism or something like that.
Abrahamic.
Yeah, but the religion has been. This is actually anthropologically. That's like study of like human beings. They've known that there's always been a religion, and they've even done studies now where they did a multi-million-pound study where they took young kids, who had not been taught about religion from atheist backgrounds, and they secluded them and asked them if they thought of, if the God existed or not. All of them thought God existed. So the belief in God is natural, and the revelation from God teaching religion has been long predates Islam. Islam basically says humanity has always been taught since the caveman of different forms of religion, and it's been shown. If you look at all the kind of art and different religious beliefs and things like that, Stonehenge and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I think this is what we're doing here is having a very good debate, and that's what I've always had with Khalid. It's not because he's a Muslim, or it's because he generally brings at Speaker's Corner a great debate. So all you Christians out there that are criticising me for not being strong, just being strong to Christians is a complete fallacy. It's just that Khalid and a lot of, in fact, the majority of Muslims, I would argue, at Speaker's Corner, do conduct themselves with honestly and with conviction, of course. And we disagree, but they're not bad actors. And so it's a credit to Speaker's Corner. But I do disagree with Muslims, of course. But I disagree, not Muslims, sorry, I disagree with religious people when it comes to what communities are the foundation we can all live in. I think maybe there's some sort of thing here that you think I would like to see a world without religion. I'm not sure if that's one of your underlying points. I hope you bring that up in a moment. In fact, if you don't mind doing a yes or no.
Okay, what's your question?
Do you think I'm trying to create a community without religion?
You?
Yeah, me.
No.
Agnostic.
I don't think so. I don't think you're trying to create community.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright, so if I was to create a community,
Yeah.
would I create a community with religions in it?
No, I don't really. I think you do say a lot of anti-religion stuff, but if you were trying to create a community, I didn't think particularly you do it with or without religion. I didn't really think about that.
I'll just clarify, I think religion's fundamental and important to not only respect individually, but also legally, which is a very fundamental point. You should never be persecuted because you're religious. And if you are religious, you should be have the like any other human being next to you. Any human being next to you should have equal rights and law preservation of your life and the way you live yourself in your own house and religious community. Not in your church,
Mosque, church, whatever.
church. Thank you.
Synagogue.
Sometimes words get trapped in my head.
Yeah.
So there is no religious texts when it comes to atheism. There are atheists that write books, but they are not the religious texts of. See, a religious person cannot understand something not religious. Cannot understand it. So by looking at the world, it can only see it through a religious point of view. So when it looks at something that isn't religious, by very definition, you turn it into a religious context and framework. Even though, keep an eye on my time, please, because even though.
How long are we going for anyway?
It's up to you. It's what feels
I think
respectful.
we should just try to make atomic points, as it were, like make a point, but not too many points in one go.
Just keep an eye on me.
All right,
Keep an eye on me.
Yeah.
So a religious person can only understand someone who's being religious. They can't understand any of the concepts of what it is just to walk around life, loving life. There is nowhere in any book that any atheist written that says life is totally pointless and nothing matters. Because, as I said earlier, before the modern religions happened, everybody was having meaning to their life and conducting themselves in such a manner that it created the very world that we all live in today, that we can have modern religions to exist. But a religious person just can't conceive of not being told what to do all the time.
Shall I answer the question about religious people?
Last point.
Okay, yeah.
So, you don't need to be religious to see the beauty of life. Either way can exist, and And you can have in any community people that destroy as well as create. But in a society that is generally dictated, there is a dictatorship of religion, like not England as such. You end up with monocultures and just no pool of debate or conversation that's like ever allowed to happen.
So I don't think many people take seriously the idea that religious people can't understand anything that's not religious. That's a bit weird. But there's an easy disproof of that with Islam, because Islam is the fastest growing religion in terms of converts, as well as having children, both of which are good signs from the proof the religion works and makes sense. So you got people from different backgrounds who are not, atheist, Christian, whatever background, agnostic, Buddhist, all coming to Islam. And so the idea that the people who are religious don't understand anything else is fundamentally wrong, because it actually came from something else.
Not everything else. It just says atheism.
I mean, atheists are included are becoming Muslims. So that's why it just feels like a weird idea that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, that's it really. Do you want to say something about the royal family, or should we leave that out?
Do you want to make a final conclusion on? Should we just the sake of the viewers? Should we just conclude on street parties? Would you like to make a?
Oh yes, because we started off with street parties. Yeah, so. Street parties in England are one of the incredibly rare opportunities for people to get together. But from a Muslim point of view, we arrange this on a weekly basis. Up and down the country, we've got mosques where anybody can have food to eat together, and actually, a lot of different religious backgrounds offer free food and community and things like that. And I think people who want to I like discussions where we solve problems, and I'm saying Islam is quickly solving all the problems that the West is quickly bringing up due to atheism.
I think that you're having your parties in a multicultural environment, which means that instead of divisions that happen in your religion, because you have your synagogue,
the mosque, yeah. That's all right.
So I haven't had any coffee. I haven't had my proper dose of coffee.
You haven't had your 3 coffees yet.
It's part of the dyslexic thing, and I get words jump into the wrong place.
Ideologies.
I'm not deliberately being an ass. It's just unfortunately my dyslexia just comes out wrong. But your community is in threat by other Muslim communities. And, you're saying you're bringing people together. In actual fact, you can't even bring Muslims together. And I think that's not a reflection of religion. It's a reflection of the people that own your religions, that seek division amongst not only people of different colour, faith, ideas, concepts, sexuality, but they would even find a reason, an excuse to attack. And so I believe that your particular sect of Muslim is tragically under attack, as in literally, not just a verbal discussion.
Yeah, it's true.
And so even the very basics have failed at. And I think in UK, the West, I think those tensions are minimised, by the way. And I think, but if your sect was in a country where it didn't have more atheist, what's the word? Secular, not atheist, secular government, I think what you'd experience and your family experience is a genocide. You, being the minority, your particular branch of religious faith is a minority and will be wiped out in a genocide by other Muslims who are particularly another branch of Muslim, but a dominant and majority. And I think that cannot be ignored. But I believe that religious people should protect it, no matter which branch or even in fact different faiths. And I think secular society has proven throughout history, because Spain was a secular society, as in by secular society, and Muslims, Jews, and Christians a long time ago, coincided with each other and had this beautiful relationship. And that's a society I'd like to, if I was to build a society, that would be the society I'd build. And then obviously the Catholics came along and then murdered everyone.
That's true. I think you rounded it off really well. I mean, that was the last say anyway. I think I agree. There's certain type of religious ideologues who don't understand the spirit of the religion. They absolutely ruin it. And then you gave a great example where people do understand the spirit of religion according to original teachings of get along, like the Quran says, get along with people of book and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Oh, we're finishing?
Yeah.
We're talking about the royal.
Should we make it a separate one, because we didn't even get, it was such a long discussion.
Do you want to say goodbye? Alright, so...
Oh yeah, do you want to say the goodbye? You're a lot more polite in your videos. Mine was like,
Just want to get away.
that's the end, finished. Okay, so you're much... I don't really do outros, you do an outro, go on.
You can do it. Thank you very much for listening to us, giving us your time, your ears, your mind, and hopefully it conjures up thoughts. And I hope it really, what's really important is you can be of different backgrounds and still have a beautiful conversation debate. And I hope this is an inspiration to you, and whatever thoughts you have, please write them below. And never be embarrassed, and beauty and love and humanity, let that shine through, no matter your religion or faith, whatever you are, philosophy-wise. If love, compassion isn't shining through, maybe that's more a reflection of your religious leader or socialist leader or whoever your leader is, rather than the individual.
You know what? I just realised last time we did a video, I did an outro, which is exactly what you just said. Like, we're good mates, and this is demonstrating it. Like, the last video we did, we had a dinner the night before or something like that and stuff like that. So that's a really good point. Be friends with people with different perspectives and be friendly and learn from each other is great. Thank you.
Yeah. The dust is now settled.
Yes. Yeah, I don't do one of those kind of outros, but yeah.
Everyone needs a catchphrase in life.